Right, again, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for this first financial statement session of Get Ahead. For you of those that don't know me, my name is Ninka, and I'm the product manager for the financial statements, and I'm responsible for the IFRS and SME template with XBRL as well as consolidation. With me today and for the rest of these sessions are Angela. She's our content owner for these products, and her main focus is the compliance requirements that is incorporated in each of the templates each year. So as you can imagine, she's quite hard at work with IFRS 18 and the new standard that is coming out. We're excited to be part of your journey for the next 4 weeks, and I do encourage you to participate as much as possible. I hope you have your second screen that you can really follow us, because this is an interactive session to work through, and you will get the most out of the session if you can participate in all those areas. Just a few housekeeping items before we start. So we've muted all the attendees just because of the size of the group, but you're more than welcome to use the chat functionality. We had found that some of the users have the chat and some of the Q&A depending on your licensing with Teams. So either one will be monitored with by our team, and we will respond to you. So either one, you can contact us. If your signal is lost, I'm sure all are very familiar with Teams, then please just stay on or go out and in, and it should join again. Then a recording will be made available for the session. So if you've missed something or you want to go back or share it internally, you're welcome to do so. Please just give us a few days for marketing to upload it on our YouTube channel, and you will also get it on our community page that I will share in a bit. So please bear with us just to get that uploaded. Right, so what we are going to cover today is the intro to the financial statement sessions. I just want to go through what we want to achieve this year. And then I'm going to cover the different file creation options that you have. Quite important to know what the options are and what your expectations are. And then getting started with the engagement file is Angela that will then start with the case study. Then for the sessions, we have the e-learning that has already been made available to you in Feb. I hope you have completed that already. And then we have the 3 sessions today, next week, and the week after on Thursdays, which will be a case study that builds on each other. So we'll start from file creation to be done and printing it in a PDF format. So, and then the last session, I will cover consolidations and iXBRL. So that's some feedback that we got from last year's sessions that people have asked that we cover that in detail. So that will be in the last session. Right, I'm quickly going to launch a poll, and it's just to get an idea of where you are in the sessions. So the first poll that I want to launch is how far are you with your online e-learning? So your name won't be recorded, so you are welcome to answer it very honestly. I've completed it, I've started, I was able to log in, but I have not started. And what online e-learning? No idea what you're talking about. So if you can maybe answer that quickly. I'm going to give it like 30 seconds and then we can continue. Right, if I have a quick look, I can see some of you have completed it. Some of you have started. Most of you have logged in but not started. So for those of you, please, it will be good. It's short videos. You can do it in your own time. If you just do like 10, 20 minutes, you'll get through it quite quickly a day. And then what online e-learning? If you're in the what online e-learning category, I'm going to show you now where you can find this. Right, so where can you find all the resources that is available for Get Ahead? So I'm putting on the screen a QR code that you can scan. I've also put in the chat, and I see one of my colleagues have pinned it for us at the top of the chat. There's a link to the Get Ahead page. Now, anything that you need in regards to Get Ahead for the financials or any of the other services will be found on there. So for today's session, there is some learning materials that you must download, which is like a TB and some information that we're going to work through. But you'll also get the links to the live recordings on here as well. And then if you go down a little bit, then you'll get there the getting started, the one that I've highlighted here is where you'll get the learning resources. So if you have a moment and you haven't downloaded it, just scroll down and download that quickly in the meantime. Then if you go to point 6, sorry, I'm just checking my screen, the e-learning resources. If you click on that, then it will take you to a link to our e-learning portal. So how our e-learning portal looks, it's like it's all our e-learning is available here. You can click on it. You'll see there is the financials one, there's an audit one, and you can self-enroll you. So if you haven't started with that, please do that. Like I said, short videos that you can work through, very similar to what we're going to cover in the sessions, but you can start. There's some cool tips and tricks in there. So really very valuable for you to work through. Right, so let's have a chat about the different file creation options that you have. So the other function that you have on the community, so the link that I've shared to you is to the community, but there's a lot of other items there as well. There's a knowledge base, you can search there. So that can really be your first source. If you are unsure about anything, go on our community page, look at you've got your templates in there with all the resources available. You can book some training, the product update information is in there. So that can be your first stop for everything that you need. Then what is also available there is where you download your software. So if you log in, if you have access to the community and you click on your name, then you can find the My Software there and you can download it. If you are ever working for an audit firm, it might be that you have a firm template and also that your IT, etc., distributed to you. So not all of you will download it yourself. Most of you, I expect, it would either be already on your PC or your firm champion or IT needs to install it for you. Then if I talk about Caseware working papers and templates, this is quite important. So you have two elements to Caseware, and we normally just talk about Caseware, but it is two elements. You have the working papers and then you have the different templates. So if I talk about working papers, it's the icon that you see on your desktop, but you double click and then it opens up the software. And then you have different templates that can work with working papers. You have, like in the screenshot, you'll see that I've installed the SME financial statements. So that is the template that I'm using. So the template cannot work without working papers. You do need both of them to be installed. And it's also important that you always install working papers first and then your template. Now, why this is important is because when we refer to the training and some updates, we're going to refer to it in the two elements of working papers and templates. And therefore, I just want to make sure that everyone is very clear about the two elements that you have. Now, if you download your installation package from the community, it will already include these. You will select them, it will include it, it will install it in the right format. So you shouldn't have any issues with it, but it is important to understand that there is the two elements. Now, the one big thing that is why it is important, the two elements, is the update option. So I'm first going to talk about the Caseware working papers update. Now, as a firm, we normally release at least once a year, which is normally around September, October, which will include your working papers, all your financial templates, your XBRL templates, all your audit templates in one big release in October. If there is a compliance reason, we might update, we might have another update during the year as well, but we normally, as far as possible, try to be only have that one desktop update in around October. So if you've installed now your new working papers and your new template, then you'll get the first time that you open an old working papers file, you'll get this message. Now, what this message means is that your caseware working paper update. That means that your financials will stay intact. Nothing in your financials or in the rest of your file, for that matter, will change. It's only your working papers. Now, why this is important is we always recommend that you don't update financial statements halfway through. We don't want you to update the template halfway through. We always say start on the latest template and then finish that. But your working papers, you can update before that if you would want to do that. It is, however, important that your firm, so say if you've updated a file and you're on Working Papers 2025 and your colleague is only on Working Papers 2024, because that file has now been converted to Working Papers 2025, they won't be able to open the file on their Working Papers 2024 until they've also installed the Working Papers 2025. So it is important that the rollout for working papers happens throughout the firm, because that will ensure that everybody is on the same template version, and as well as then the working papers, and then you can update it. Right, then I want to talk about the different file creation options. Now, firstly, very, very, very important. All your firms will have a best practice create a new file. So, and when you go through the training or when your manager shows you how to do it, they will take you through the option what is applicable to the firm. But I do know we have some firms maybe here that's very small, it's maybe a very small team, or we also have some corporates joining us in the sessions, and for them, it might not be as clear. So I want to go through the different file creation options, because that is going to manage your expectation on what is going to happen when you update the file, but also to ensure that you make the best selection of the different update options for a specific scenario. So if we talk through it, we basically have three options. The first one is new file. Then we have create file and import data, which we also sometimes call file new from existing in shorthand. And then we have the update file option. Now, again, what is your firm's policy? Is your firm policy to do a new file, create file, import data, or update file? Now, we recommend if it is a new file, when are you going to do a new file, is when it's a new client, or if you want a fresh start. Now, a fresh start means maybe your previous file is lost, or the previous person that worked on it didn't do it with all the integrity intact of the file, so you rather just want to start from scratch. Or it is a very, very old file. And you'll see now when I get to the update why I say that. So if you have a file that's on the 2012 template, and yes, we do get here and there calls around that, then it won't go for all the updates if you go for extended period of time. Then it's much better just to do a new file from scratch. Then you have create file and import data. So this is if you have an existing client, but you want a fresh start with as much data from a prior file as possible. And if you have a firm template, this is most likely the option that you will follow. And then you have the update file. So this is if you want the latest changes in, but you want to keep as much customization as possible. So the difference between the last two is if you create a file and import data, it basically takes a brand new file template and it pulls in the information from what was in your previous year file. So it pulls in your yellow cells, it pulls in your information store, it pulls in your trial balance. The update file, what it does, it takes your existing file and it just brings in the portions that are new in the template. So the processes are a little bit different, and therefore your customization will retain on your update file, but on your create file and import data, it won't necessarily retain because you are actually starting on a blank template. So if we look at the screens, this is, and like when you go for your case study and when you do e-learning, you'll get very familiar with that. This is the new file creation option. So if you go on file, new, then this is the screen that you'll see. And again, you'll use this if it's a new client or if you want a fresh start. And how you will do it is you will insert the name there at the top, and then you'll select your template and you will say create new file. So if you want to do the second option, the file new from existing, it is the same process, but then you'll select the second one that says create file and import data. So, and when you will use that option is if you want a fresh start with as much data from your prior file as possible, then you'll do that. And also when you do a firm template or when you have a firm template, you will most often use that one as well. But again, check in with your firm champion on what the process is. Then you also have the update file option. So the update file option, normally if you have the latest working papers and then a template installed and you open the file, you'll get this update screen automatically. But if you didn't get it or you want to go back to it, what you'll do is you'll just click on the check for update there, and then it will update the screen with two options available. So the first option here is the same as the create file and import data one that I've just shown you, except the full replace during the update keeps all your changes outside of the financials. For example, your document manager, while the one that I just showed before will give you the document manager from the template. So if you have a lot of customized documents or information on your document manager, then you'll use this option, but your financials between the two options will be exactly the same. You'll use the other option if you want a blank document manager, what's in your firm template or in your template installed. And just to mention there, if I talk about firm template and the standard Caseware template, you'll never have both on your computer. So whatever your firm install will either be the Caseware one or it will be the firm one. You'll never have to make the choice between the two. And if you install it from our software page, that will be, but if I refer to the standard Caseware template, that will be the scenario there. So again, this is the same as the create file and import data, except for the document manager that is different. Then you have the second option here. Now, this is really if you have heavy customized files, if you've done a lot of customization and you really just want to bring in the little bit of compliance changes that we've done. Now, especially like, for example, last year, there was not a lot of compliance changes. If you have a heavy customized file, you'll use this option and you will retain the customization with bringing in the little bit that has changed in the past year. It is, however, very important that we do not support files older than 2 versions back. And what that means is if you call support and you come from an older version, it will be very difficult for them to support you because we don't test those files when we do each update. And if you can appreciate, every time that we release, we have to go through a whole QA and testing process. So we cannot indefinitely go back to the number of files. So we always say stay in the last 2 years. From a support perspective, from an SLA perspective, that's the best user journey for you to be in. And you don't want to go and have a file that is a very old file, because then you're going to lose the benefit of the update if you can do that, and you will have to start at some point a new file, which is going to take a lot more time from an efficiency point of view. So very important between the two options. Right, before I hand over to Angela, I'm going to quickly launch another poll just so that we can see where everybody is in the room, just to get to know you a little bit better of which level you are. The Get Ahead series has been done with the idea of the first years and freshly with Caseware and don't know anything, but we have all levels joining us for a refresher, or maybe you haven't done the training formally before, whatever the case might be. So everybody is welcome, but it is really just for us to understand the level of different people here. So I'm going to launch this poll, and then while that is going on, I'm also quickly just going to have a look at the chat if there's any questions. If there's any questions that is in, and I can also just quickly cover that. Okay. Let's see any questions. So there is a question about the certification. I see it has been answered, but maybe just for the group as well. There is CPD certificates available after the sessions. And again, on the community, it will be uploaded there. So you'll be, and there will also be an email sent. So if you don't receive the email, we can also show you where on the community you can find it. Then there is a question for the slides for the webinar available for download. Yes, we will make them available afterwards that you have reference to them. So we'll upload them on the community view as well. But this is basically the slides that we are going to cover. The rest is really going to be in the product. Let me see if there's any more questions. Right, so I can see most of us, yes, first year, and then second and first year, first time joining. So welcome to the profession in case for all of you. And then we also have some managers, and then some that's not an audit like expected. We have public sector, we also have the corporates. So welcome to everybody. Right, with that, I am going to hand over to Angela, and she is going to get us started with an engagement file. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Ninka. Good morning, everybody. I trust that you are super, super excited to get through these next few sessions with us. Auditing is good, but financial statements, I mean, really. All right. So I'm going to be with you for the rest of this session and for the next 2 weeks. So please come back. Please stay updated. It's going to really be worth your while. What we're going to do together today is I'm going to take you through the create a new file process. Just on that, I am pitching this as though you don't know anything yet. So please bear with me on that. You never know what you might pick up if you have already opened and created a few files. There might be somebody who really gets great benefit out of a grassroots level. But that is the pitch, is to skill up those who are brand new. We're going to take a look at the engagement properties and how the engagement properties interacts with the rest of the file. I'm going to look at the document manager briefly and the different file types that we can get in our document manager. And I'm going to let you import some files like Excel and PDFs into the Caseware working papers in Document Manager. All of this is covered in a lot of detail in the e-learning, so please go ahead and do those. I know it is extra time on top of the work that you have, but it is going to help you tremendously. Okay, well, once we've looked at importing files, then I'm going to take a look at the information store, which is a type of case view document, and the editing tools available in the information store. They are applicable throughout all of the case view documents. So we will be looking at how to populate the information store, what its purpose is, but at the same time, how do you edit case view documents? And then very importantly, the backbone of your financial statements, we're going to import a trial balance. We're going to do that together. We're going to create the whole file together. So I do ask that you actually create the file with me. Import trial balance, I'm going to look at what to do if we get it wrong, or if changes have been made and you have to re-import a trial balance. And trust me, even the best of us make mistakes. So it's good to know what can I do when I've messed up this import. And then the following 2 weeks, we're going to draft the financial statements, which is going to include mapping our trial balance. And we'll look in detail at how to draft and how to edit and eventually how to print those financial statements. And then during the course of these sessions, there are going to be prizes, which we will announce at the follow-up session. So please be active. Answer the questions. We're going to give prizes for the most actively correct, closest to correct answers. So along the way, I'm going to put up some polls just to see where you are. And when I ask a question, if you can just answer those questions in the chat. I need it to be in the chat so I can see who you are, so that we can identify our winners from the questions asked. And who doesn't like a giveaway, right? Ninka, you cannot participate. You can't get any of the prizes. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to just switch off my camera quickly. I want to take you, while you're here, just please go with me to the chat. I don't know if you have all downloaded the course content for today. So I just want to show you again, and for those who only came in after Ninka mentioned it, if you look in the chat, pinned to the top of the chat is a message from Ninka. If you just open the chat, she's placed a link. I'm actually going to share my screen. So if you can so long, click on her comment and on the link to the chat. I'm going to share my screen to to show you where the link goes. I just want to make sure we all have the documents because you need them to follow the session. Okay, once you've clicked on the link, you're going to land up on this page. You're going to go to number 7 for me, click on Learner Resources. And then here in red, we're doing, in the middle of the page, financial statements. Purple is our color. Get started with engagement file. And you're going to click on this link here. And it's going to download the documents for you. So I want you to click on this link, download the documents, please. And then just make sure you can see where it's saved to on your computer. I'm going to give you literally 1 minute to do that. All right, I'm going to quickly launch a poll. You can just give me a thumbs up or down. The question that I just want to know is, have you successfully downloaded these resources and can I move along? Give me a thumbs up if you're done, thumbs down if you're still busy. All right, it seems like a few are still busy. We've only got a quarter of the responses back. I'll give you 1 more minute. Okay, I think you are mostly good with that. Let's move on then. So what we're going to do as our starting point, I'm pretty sure by now that you are all familiar with how to open your Caseware Working Papers. But for those who are not, I've got mine on my desktop, my icon, or you could look for it in your search bar, or maybe it's on your Windows screen. Whichever way you find, please go ahead and open up Caseware Working Papers for me. All right, your screen opens. It's going to open up to the open screen, which is very convenient. In here, this is where you're going to go and find your files and launch them from. So first up is your recent files, which is obviously the files which you've most recently been active in. So in my situation, I've got 2 files. You might have a whole list here. But you can then select which file you want from yours. Yours might be empty still at this point. If you've got files which you perhaps haven't looked at for a long time, you can go and search for them by clicking on the computer option. And it's going to allow you to browse so it's either going to show you your recent folders, or it's going to allow you to browse for those files. I just want to point out that Caseware files are by default saved in the C drive in your program files 86, Caseware, in this data folder. This is the best place to work with your files, and we ask that you save your files to the data folder. This is if you, for example, get a file from an external source, save it to data and run it out of there. It is the best place to run your file. If it's somewhere else on your machine, it can still work, but this is the best. What you must never do, please, is run a file or open a file out of a network folder. So for example, if it's in OneDrive or another network folder, do not open it from there. Copy it into this data folder. I'll show you the path in a moment, and then run it and open it from there. If you do copy a file, make sure to copy it in a folder so that when it expands, it doesn't expand all over itself into the main folder where you have dropped the file. Again, I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Okay, so if I were to browse, it's literally as a normal search engine you would know, wherever you want to be in your machine, like you say, well, if I've saved it here, for example, and I've got nothing there, or if it's in, I'm just going to go back to where that was in data, you would do your normal search as you would with any file you're looking for, and then you would just click on the folder. So that's what I meant. Save your file in a folder, and when you click on the folder, this little guy here with the Caseware icon, that's the one that you click on to launch your file. Okay, I'm not going to launch because I don't want to open that. I just wanted to show you the process. So with regards to opening files, I'd just like to show you, this was something that was always a bit confusing for me to see, and I don't know if anybody shares that same sentiment. Where are the files actually saved? What do they look like? So I'm just going to go into my Explorer and show you where mine are. So in the C drive, Program Files 86, in Caseware, and in Data, you would see the folders of the various files located. If you open a file up, I'm going to open up Nova again, you can see that there are many, many, many documents actually inside the folder. And they are named. You can see, here's my file name. So all of these individual documents, or most of them, actually have the file name attached inside. Okay, so that's one thing I want you to take note of. But just take a look. This is what we call an expanded file. It's got a multitude of files in it. And so obviously a Caseware file does get rather large. I'm going to teach you later on in the course how to actually compress the file so that you're not trying to send this massive load of documents out. Okay, I have shown you that, that the name of the file lands up attached to many of the documents within the file. Okay, so let's say you want to change your file name. And I will quickly talk to file name before I explain you wanting to change it. Your firm should have a specific naming convention of how they want files named. Please do what they say. If they don't have a naming convention, then we strongly recommend that all of your files have the company name or the entity name and the year-end date. The reason for that is obviously so that you can find where you are. Imagine if there are more than 2 files here inside of data. If I've got a whole list of 50, 60 files, maybe more, some of you might have, how are you going to find the specific engagement you're looking for? So obviously you need to correctly label. So now I've got a situation in that I have labeled my Nova Pty Limited, but I haven't given it a year end. So what I want to do is I want to actually rename this file. Now we all know about standing on the file, right click and rename, agree. That's not going to work here because if I go ahead and I rename here in this folder, it's not going to update all the myriads of file names within. So it's just going to botch it up. So the correct way to name a file is to go into Caseware Working Papers. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my working papers. And one thing that you need to know is that you cannot rename a file while there is a Caseware file open. So in my case, there is no file open. I know that because when I look on top of my working papers, if you follow my icon, it says Caseware Working Papers. If the file was open, it was going to give me the file name up here. Okay, so as long as the file is closed, I can go ahead and change. So at this point, Don't do anything, just watch me. You will have your own opportunity in a while. So I'm going to go rename file. And then I'm going to go and search for that file that was incorrectly named. So I can either browse or I can see my recent files. And I'm going to say Nova's the wrong one. And I'm going to go ahead and rename that in an appropriate manner, which includes my year end. So I'm going to go, I can go 2026, or I can do the whole year end, let's say. And then I'm going to just click these and go ahead and rename file. And as soon as you do anything in your file, it's going to ask you to log in. The standard login credentials you probably know by now is SUP, and the password SUP as well. You can just click tab to get to password, also SUP. Super, super secretive, that password. Of course, if your file has been password enabled, ask your supervisor, and then that is the username and password that you will use. So I'm going to click OK, and my file name, you can see, has changed here. And if I go to Explorer and I go and look in my data drive, you can see that the file name is automatically changed. And if I look inside, you can see my file name has now changed to include the date. So super important that you do not try to change the file name by just right-click rename. It's not going to work here. Okay, let me just see where I am. Now we're going to go ahead and actually create our new file. I want you to pretend that in the movie that we are in today, that we have got an entity or an engagement for the first time this year. There were previous accountants in the prior year, but we have received the engagement. Now, we are going to start with a brand new file because we have no history on this. So we're going to go, and at this point, I'd like you to go ahead with me and go and click on New. And the first step in creating your new file and create your name with me the way that I set it up, I want you to call your file Get Ahead Pty Limited. And then just give it a 2026, please, exactly like that. Perfect. I am assuming that you are with me. And now we're going to create, you're going to go to, sorry, I am actually skipping a step. You can do that before you click on actually sorry, I'm just seeing where I'm at. And before you actually create your file fully, what's very important when you create a new file is please to make sure that your software is up to date. And Ninka went through a process of determining whether you are up to date. But how are you going to do a quick check from here? If you click on this blue Backstage menu on the Help, click Help, and then you will see that it's Caseware Working Papers. Hopefully yours says 2025, and the version number will be here at the bottom. So we can see it's version 2025-091. From here, we're going to go to the Caseware community. So I'm going to go and launch my Explorer. And your site is success.casewareafrica.com. So if you can follow me on that to get to that site. I'll give you a moment to follow with me. I trust that you all clicked on Help in your working papers to see your version number. Right, once you've clicked and you've accessed the Caseware community, success.casewareafrica.com, we're going to then go here on the right-hand side to Product Updates. Click Product Updates, and it's just going to take you to what the latest versions are that are available. And if I open Software, I see Caseware Working Papers, and I can see it's 2025-091. And I'm happy, if I go back to Caseware, that it is my working papers is the same, is the correct version. Right, so like Ninka said, we've got working papers and we've also got our templates. So Caseware Working Papers, if I would try to create a visual, It's almost like the skeleton. If we look at our templates we can consider pretty much maybe the DNA. Is it brown hair with brown eyes, blonde hair with blue eyes? So it's all the little details. So in my case, I only have an IFRS. So it means if I select IFRS, it means everything in my file, the DNA of my file is going to be IFRS related. If I chose SME, it will be SME related. If you've got a firm template, you won't see any of these. This only pulls up the licensed software that you have installed currently. So you might see here a firm, yours might be a firm template, and if you whatever you've got there and whatever you select, that'll be the don't click anything, please. That'll be the DNA that runs through your file. There could be a grep template, various different options. So if I look here, and you can look at yours, if you have a firm template, you're not going to run this through to the Caseware community. But what I would do now is if I'm creating this file, I'll see, okay, I've got IFRS 2025, so that's my year, and _1, it's telling me it's the release number of 2025. My SME is also 2025 release number 1. So I'm going to go and look, these are the two templates that I've installed that I'm interested in. So I'm going to go back to the community, and now I'm going to close software because I'm looking at the DNA. So I'm going to go into my templates and I'm going to go find those. So I'm going to get IFRS is the first one that I have. It's not necessarily the same as what you've got. This is named a little bit differently, but I'll teach you how to tell the difference. So we've got our year is still the same, 2025. The middle number on the community, the 02, that's the product number that you won't see in your template. So we won't see the 02 in this view. Sorry. So the 02 means IFRS. 04 means IFRS for SME, XBRL Lite, and so on. 01 in the middle means IFRS for SME. The number at the end is a number that's going to coincide with what's in your working papers. So if I read this, IFRS for SME that I'm on, the version that's most recent according to the community is version 2025 release 1. The same with IFRS version 2025 release 1. And that matches what I've got, so I'm happy. So we can cancel out of here and return to the new screen. We're going to have to start again if we did. Okay, so I'm hoping that you are up to date with your software. Now we're going to go ahead and create the file. And as I had said, we would like to call it Get Ahead PTY Limited. You can make yours a limited if you don't want it to be a PTY. And it's just 2026 at this point. There's a reason I'm asking you to do it that way. This file I'm going to create. If you do have SME, please create on SME. If not, as far as possible, work with what you've got. If you've got a SME firm template, then that's the one that you're going to use. So single left click on the icon and you're going to go with create file because we're doing a brand new file. And then you're going to say OK to the login and your username, again, SUP and password SUP, the same. So go ahead and run this for me, please. Oh, sorry. I just want to see if there's anything I need to take note of in the chat. The one who is everybody, I see there's quite a few links missing. Have those been? Maybe I'll just quickly do a quick poll while you're creating
And,
your, yes.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I think
Okay,
everybody is
please.
sorted with the links. We have responded to them where
Okay,
needed. So
okay,
I think the only question that's on the chat is there's somebody asking that mine is still on 2024. Do I have to update?
No, I think for today's session, run ahead with what you've got. I think it should still be fine. Link can chip in if you disagree.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine on your 2024 update for the next session. Okay, and then just run a when you created your 2024 file and you install the 2025 Caseware working papers, it's going to tell you that you need to convert, and then just follow the prompts and do the conversion on that file. Okay. But yeah, so going forward, obviously in the you know, for saving time, we will just go with your 2024. Okay, so now you're going to get to a place, you should hopefully be with me by now. We're going to log in again. Same, always SUP, unless your file has been passed, unless your supervisor's added a different login. There is a video on the e-learning to teach you how to do the you know, changing passwords and all. I'm not going to be covering that. Right. Hopefully you are all on this point. Please don't go past this new file wizard without me. What happens here is the files you saw when I went through the file size, you saw there many documents. So what we've added is this engagement optimization. So what it does is it only wants to bring in the file types that you are going to need for your engagement. So if you are only going to prepare financial statements, we don't want to bring in hundreds of audit documents, which you don't need. Please, it's very important. If you choose wrong, you are going to have to start again. So if you pick the wrong engagement type and you go along through the file and you realize that you've done it wrong, you are going to have to start again with creating a new file. So it's important that you get this one right. There is a little light bulb which you can click to give you a bit of guidance, and there is a link to learn more if you need some more information. You don't need to follow that now. Stay with me. We are going to select for today. You see, you can either do a financial statements preparation only, or you can do a compilation and review, compilation and audit, just a review, or just an audit. So we are only going to prepare financial statements. None of our audit or review or compilation documents will follow us into the file, but you will still be able to have within the financial statements, the audit report will still be there. It's just the working papers will not be with us. So I'm going to go ahead and click with me on preparation. Just before you do so, if on your screen, I'm going to click to the side, if you don't see this box, then just maximize your screen. It could be that the box is hidden. Okay, go ahead and select financial statements and continue. And then what I'm going to do is when this process has run, there should be an engagement properties screen which pops up. When the engagement properties pops up, I'm going to give you about 2 or 3 more minutes to catch up. And then I'm just going to do a quick poll to find out who has actually managed to get to this part in the process. To log in, I'm seeing a question here. How do I download the updated template? Don't worry about getting your updated template today, as long as you have a template that is at least 2025. Then use that. I've got a question. I'm on GRAP. Is that fine? If you don't have SME and you don't have a license for SME, then you're going to have to go ahead on GRAP. If you do have SME, please use the SME template with me. It's just going to be the most perfectly aligned, but you should still be fine in GRAP. Okay, mine is open to engagement properties. I'm going to give it the 1 more minute to let the rest of you catch up, and then I'm going to just launch. sorry, Ninka, if you can answer, just the way from your guys' side, if I launch the poll, it doesn't interfere with their processing. It's not jumping up in front of their screen, right?
I think
Can I
it
do the
will.
poll now?
I
Okay, I'm
think
going to
give it a
okay.
second. Yeah.
I'll rather give you a second to finish, and then I'll launch the poll. Right. I'm going to do that quick poll. It's just a thumbs up if you have got to the engagement properties. Thumbs down. So if you're still busy working on it, then still give me a thumbs down if you're not done, just to get rid of the poll on your screen. And just so that I know that you're still busy. So please don't ignore the poll.
So there's a question on what is the engagement type. So the engagement type that we selected for this file is preparation. If you select any of the others, it's also fine. It won't change the financial statements, but that will be the quickest to create the file. It's just preparation.
Thank you, Ninka. Okay. We've got less than half responded. So I still need a few more responses. I don't want to leave anyone behind, or I don't want to leave, let's go 80-20 principle here. So if you can just give me a thumbs up if you've got your engagement properties. Okay, we're almost half responses. Right, if you can just give me some more thumbs up if you're at engagement properties. And if you're really struggling and lagging far behind, will you give me a thumbs down so I know that you're probably needing about another, let's say, 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, a few responses still coming in. I hope that the other 100 haven't left the building. All right, I think 1 more minute, and then we shall have to go on. Just please do the thumbs down if you're really battling and nowhere with me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. If you're just like 1 or 2 steps behind and you're catching up easily, then you should be able to easily watch what we're doing, and then try click along as you catch up. Alternatively, watch with me and try catch up in the break. Okay, seem to be about halfway on who did respond there. So what opens up when your file turns on is the engagement properties screen or the engagement properties dialog rather. And this really sets the properties for the whole engagement. So this needs to be done correctly, specifically the fields that I'm going to talk to with you. So you will see it opens up to this reporting dates tab. In here, you're going to put the year end date, and the year begin date should automatically work. Now, it just so happens that our file is a 28th of February file. That was complete coincidence. It's not going to just mysteriously know your year end. We are good, but we're not that good. So how you would do it, you can just use the date drop down and click on 28 Feb. Can you believe that we are 2 days away from the end of February? Right, so you will select the date. The year beginning should pick up automatically from there. If your year is not a date-to-date like this, in other words, if perhaps your year begins, maybe it's a 52-week that you're dealing with rather than a calendar year, then you will put your year begin in here. This is important that you set up when you create your file. Please don't change this date during the process of your file, especially after your trial balance is imported, because it could mess around with your trial balance. So your first step was selecting dates. Then the next thing we're going to look at is the block underneath, which says the reporting period date sequences. And it gives us all these options here. 13 periods, monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, thirdly, semi-annually, yearly, and random. So what are these? This is case we're saying, what kind of trial balance are you going to import, and what do you want the software to be able to look at? So are you importing monthly, which could be you get your trial balance, let's say in Excel or from software, and every month you import and then you just roll on the next month after that? Are you doing quarterly? So you're bringing in the trial balance 4 times, 4 columns, 1 for each quarter. Are you just bringing in a single trial balance yearly? So the way that what we recommend is that you always click monthly, because monthly will work with every option, and then click yearly because we're doing annual financial statements. So you'll click these, but this is telling Caseware, what do you want the possibilities to exist? Then the next place is, okay, well, what are you looking at now? So Caseware says, what is your current sequence that you're actually dealing with? And in this drop down, it's going to give you all the options from the previous. So we've got monthly and yearly. If we had also selected quarterly as a workable possibility, we will tell it, then you'll see quarterly becomes an option. Okay, so I'm going to keep quarterly off. I'm just going to work with yearly and monthly. And best practice is to just keep it on monthly. Then you will see that it opens to the current active period, period 12, which would obviously be the last period in your year. If I had selected yearly, it's only going to give 1 because there is only 1 year in a year. Let's stick on monthly for now. So follow with me to this point. Monthly, and make sure your current active period is 12. And I just want to show you something quickly on our status bar at the bottom. So if we look at our status bar, we will see, well, there's our login name. I am user SUP. Here is our year-end date. So at a glance, you can make sure, yes, my year-end is 28 Feb 2026. You should see the 12. So this means, where is Caseware looking right now? It's looking at period 12. And it's monthly, so it says you set to monthly, I'm looking at period 12. What does this mean? Also, on the top of your screen, on the toolbar, you see February. We know February is our month 12 because it's a February year end. So if I change the current active period to 1, okay, I want to show you what happens. I'm going to click OK. You can also click OK and change to 1. With me, we will look at the difference. And if I press OK, it takes that setting. And what we can see is that our year end is still February 2026, but our period is 1 on monthly. So what it means is, Caseware is saying to you, I am looking at period 1. If you look on your toolbar, I'm looking at March. It can happen so easily that you click, you're playing around in Caseware when you accident and you click on March here, or if in that engagement properties toolbox, dialog box, you had accidentally selected period 1. What can happen, and it's happened to me, and I see Etienne is in the call, laughed me a few times. I have imported my trial balance. I'm in an absolute panic. Where is my data? I would go in the trial balance and see nothing. And the reason was because I have imported to February, the year end, but Caseware is looking at period 1. And then you feel a bit embarrassed and you go and fix it. And you go to February in this drop down, and all of a sudden Caseware looks at period 12, and lo and behold, your trial balance reappears. So the data will be there, but please look. So if you find you imported a trial balance, you have nothing, you might be looking at the wrong period. Okay, I hope I've emphasized that sufficiently, because that is a very important thing. When you roll forward a file into your next year, go and look in your engagement properties, because the roll forward will go to period 1. So you need to just adjust that back to period 12. Okay, so we were not finished with engagement properties. So now we're going to go and open engagement properties again. So if you are at the same place as me in your file, you might be tempted to go and click, oh, here's properties, let me open that. And if you click it, you're going to get a fright, because you're not going to see what we were on, because you've clicked the document property of the document I'm standing on. So whoopsie, little mistake, don't worry about it. Close that. You're going to go to the engagement tab on the ribbon and look for engagement properties. And this is going to take you back to the dialog that opened when we created the file. The reporting dates is where we were. You'll recognize it. Like I said, if you've rolled forward your file, this might be sitting on a 1, just make it a 12. Now we're going to go to the next important component of this dialog, is the name address. Right, before doing anything, please cast your eyes with me to the bottom of the status bar. You will see on the left, there is the name of the file, which was the file name we created when we opened our file. And then we've got a little name next to it, IFRS for SME or GRAP or whatever your file was created as. This must not stay this way, because this is the name of the entity which will appear on the financial statements and throughout the file. So in engagement properties on name address, this is where you're going to put the name that you want in the financial statements. So change with me to Get Ahead Pty Limited on your files. I'll give you a moment to catch up with me. And once you've done so, look at your status bar, click on OK, and the name should change to Get Ahead Pty Limited. All right, I hope that everyone is with me up to this point. What I'm going to do is I want you to rename your file with me, because I want us to put the 28th February in. So this is what we're going to do. Follow with me now. And go to the Backstage menu. So you're going to click on File to the Backstage menu, because we want to rename the file. And now I have a problem, because I know that when I showed you what to do, I could see rename here. The first person, please throw in the chat. So just answer in the chat for me. Why do you think I cannot see rename in the Backstage menu? I did give you the answer earlier. This is for... Oh, okay, well, we've already got some answers. Unfortunately, the unknowns we can't take. We're going to look through the timing to see who was first. Yes, the file is open. You guys are on top of your game. Yes. So how do we know it's open? There we see our Get Ahead Limited 2026 File is open, so please be careful. Do not close on the X on the side because you will close working papers. Not the end of the world. It'll just mean you have to open again. So we have to close our file. So go and close on the Backstage menu. And suddenly we can rename our file. So go ahead with me. Please rename the file to add the 28 February 2026 into the name. So rename and select the correct file. Don't rename the wrong file. And my new name that I want is Get Ahead Pty Limited, 28 February 2026. And I'm going to just click the box and rename my file. SUP tab SU. And Ninka, while they're catching up, if you can try and see who was the first to answer that question correctly so that we can just start keeping track of what is it, a points board for who our potential winner is at the end of the day.
I will do so.
Thank you. Okay, I do want to make sure that everyone is with me on this. So please, if everyone who is actually in the call will answer with I'm going to change it because you don't seem to like my thumbs up. So I'm going to, let me see what else I can do. Giving my polls a second, just while you catch up. I'm going to do a heart. If you are with me and your file is successfully renamed, please give a heart. If you are failing miserably and you've given up following me, give me a broken heart. Or if the poll is in your way and blocking you from finishing, then give me a broken heart as well. Sorry. I thought I'll just change it a bit so that it's Valentine's month after all. And then we can also see who's actually still with us in the session and who's ghosting us. So most of you who have responded have mostly successfully renamed. How did this happen? And you can see your file name. Sometimes it takes a little while. So your file name will appear on top. Those of you are old enough will get the Cremora joke there, but I think none of you would have. That was an old 1980s advertisement. The Cremoras on top. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention brands in these. Okay. So the file name would be on top, and then of course your file path name would be at the bottom here. Okay, we've got 100 responses. It's similar to what we had previously. So I think this is how many are mostly with us in the session. I'm going to give you, it's 9 minutes past. I'm going to give you till 10 past just to make sure that you are with us. And then we'll go ahead. Okay, let's carry on. Next step is, so we've renamed our file, we've created a new file, and now, again, I just want to show you if I go, I think we had looked at this earlier, if I just quickly go into my Explorer, into the C drive, Program Files 86, Caseware, Data, And there is the new file, Get Ahead 28 Feb 2026. And if you've renamed it correctly, that name should be attached to the most of your files. Okay, now go ahead and open your file. But before you open your file, I just want to show you, if you haven't discovered it, that if you actually click on the pin, you can pin it to the top of your recent files so that it doesn't get lost in all your other files. Okay, so go ahead with me and open up your new file. And SUP again. And it opens up to the document. This is our document manager, which is our filing system where all of our files are kept. And obviously, we do all our work here in the document manager. So what we can see, I just want to give you a bit of a tour through it. You may or may not have already done so. I might show you a trick that's new and super cool. So you can open a file by clicking on the little arrow. You can, if you stand on a folder, sorry, I meant a folder, not file, and you right click, you can actually expand all folders in the file and see everything at a glance. If I look through mine, I see a lot of optimized. Remember, we chose preparation only when we created the file. If you selected audit or review, you would see the actual documents that you actually imported. So this is just to recall that these are just placeholders for what would have been in the file if you had actually done the, for example, audit type of engagement. And you can see again a lot of documents, most of which have been optimized out. So now if you want to see what's going on, it's too much, click a folder, right click, and just say collapse all folders just to get your neat view again. Okay, you've been playing around with that a little bit with me, I assume. Okay, what documents do we have? So in our folder, I'm going to go and open up trial balance and journal entries folder in trial balance. And we have a file type, which has got a little gear cog, depending on how good your eyes are. But it's a little gear cog on a document. And these are Caseware automatic documents. And these are created by the Caseware Working Papers software within Caseware Working Papers. You will see if you open up I'm going to just click on the trial balance. It's empty because we haven't brought in a trial balance. You will see that it actually opens a tab next to the document. So we've got our document manager, and now next to it, we've got our trial balance, which we opened as a Caseware automatic document. And when you're in a Caseware automatic document, you're going to see all these annotations, which you can bring in tick marks or whatever it may be. Refer to the e-learning for beautiful videos on annotations. Okay, so those are Caseware automatic documents. Your trial balance, your lead sheets, your audit working papers are Caseware documents. Then we have, I'm going to close trial balance and I'm going to open financial statements. The next type of file that we have are case view documents. And they look like, if you look at it, it looks like a little balance sheet almost. I guess it depends on what your imagination shows you there. It might show you a C, just depending on the version, but the document with a C or this little picture of what could be a balance sheet is a case view document. Case view is an application, it's a report writing application, which works within Caseware. And when I open a case view document, it's not going to create me a little tab next to Document Manager. It's going to open a separate application. So what you can do, just for interest's sake, double click with me on Information Store, which is a type of case view document. It's going to probably take a short while to open. And it just needs a chance to load the document and bring the data in. Mine is happening on the other screen. I can't move it. but you should see yours should be saying loading case view documents. There we go. I'm just going to minimize that. I just wanted to show you what happens when it opens. And you see it did not create another tab because it's not a case where document, it's a case view document. And there is our case view application icon. Okay, we will look at that later. We're not going into it right now. So what else do we have? We could have Word or Excel documents or PDFs in file. You can see here's an Excel document, which is in the folder. And what we can do is we can bring documents like Excel, Word, PDFs, images into our Caseware file. And I'm going to let you practice doing that in a moment. So remember you downloaded the files. Hopefully that's all been sorted out now. So go with me, open the folder where your files were saved to. So mine, I've created a file called Local Get Ahead Session 1. Yours might still be in your downloads. And these are the 4 documents which you should have. We've got a company secretary certificate, we've got a trial balance, we've got an information pack, and we've got reconciliations. So open up to where yours are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split my screen to show you the document manager and this setup. So I'm going to press on my keyboard the Windows button and right click to just put that part on the side. And then I'm going to select, I'm after my document manager to be on the left. Okay, hopefully you're all with me up till this point. Or you could have the one open on your other screen and the other, whichever how many screens you have. What I want you to do is we're going to drag and drop. It's very difficult, but pay attention. I believe you can do it. I want you to grab let's make it the information pack. And I want you to grab it and drop it anywhere into your financial statements preparation folder. So you're going to click on it and drop it anywhere. Happy. You see what's happened is it's automatically given it a number, depending on where you dropped it, but that's fine. What you can do is you can say, oops, I actually don't want that number. I want it to be 14. So you can stand now on your Excel document, right-click, click Properties, and go ahead and change the number to what you want it to be. So I want it to be 01.40. And I'm happy with the name, and I click OK. Now I change my document name. Cool. You can go ahead and grab that company secretary certificate and just drop it into the financial statements folder as well. If you dropped it into the wrong place, you can just, like mine has now landed up outside of it. So I'm going to just go and pick it up and put it inside the folder. And I'm happy with the numbering. Okay, so just those 2 files for me at this point. Now what could happen is, let's say you know you're going to get a document, but you haven't got it yet. So we've got reconciliations here. Let's pretend that the client has not sent us them yet, but we know we need them and we're afraid we're going to forget. So we want to create a placeholder for these reconciliations. So if you look up on the Home tab in your document, on the Home tab, you're going to see a placeholder. It literally is what it says. It holds a place. So click placeholder, and I'll give it a number. So let's see. I'm going to call this one 01. Looks like 0.60 is a good number that's available. And I'm going to name it. So, okay, how did I miss that? Okay, never mind. Apparently there is a 0.6. Let's call it 0.12. Okay. And then we're going to talk to, it could be, I'm really not seeing a 0.6. It could be that it's a reserved number for another document type. And my name, I'm going to call reconciliations. I'm just going to call it PPE and intangible assets, whatever it's going to be, whatever you want to call it. The important thing is the file type. So just tell it it's going to be an Excel file, an Excel workbook. and click on OK. So it creates this placeholder for you. If you click on it, it says it's not a document, it's just a placeholder. So as you go through your file, now you can know exactly, okay, when the reconciliation has arrived, so pretend it's arrived, now you can drag it into your file. So you'll click it and you'll drag it to right on top of that placeholder. Can be a bit finicky. The outcome you're looking for is where it says this replace. Do you want to replace the placeholder with the document? And what's nice about it, click replace. What's nice is that it keeps the number and the name of the placeholder. So you could have just done your file management upfront, planning, give the numbers that you want those documents to have. Okay, now it's a bit messy. If you're a little bit OCD, like myself and Ninka, you want this in order. So you can click on the folder, right-click, and sort documents is going to put your documents in the right order. Happy. Now I just want to expand my screen. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. So what I would like you to just do is I want to show you something about so the company secretary certificate. I think it was a gift, or forget the form. It was an image we brought in. If you had brought in a PDF file, the same kind of situation would work. Stand for me on your company secretary certificate and just right-click for me. And now go into properties. Can you see in the middle of the dialog, there's a viewer and there's a drop-down of viewer options. So if you leave it on external viewer, normal window, click OK. And now go and actually open it by double-clicking. Okay, mine opened on the other screen. I'll just move it across. You can see it's literally just opened up the image. If you go back to the company secretary certificate, right-click and properties again, and now go and do an internal image viewer and press OK. What this does is, so I hope that you're with me still. I wish I could see your nodding heads. Now I've clicked on, I'll just do that again for those who are behind. Click on the document, click on properties. So it was right-click the document, properties, on viewer, on the drop-down, select internal image viewer. Click OK, and then open the document again. Now you will see it actually open in Caseware Working Papers. And suddenly you've got the file name, you've got the date and time, you've got the file document number, and it becomes like a working paper, and you can annotate, little annotations land up, tick marks in the corner, and you can actually annotate on this file. So that is a super cool trick. Okay. Right. I just want to show you a few more things here, then I think I can give you a 10-minute break. If we don't finish everything today, then we can carry on in the next session. I would just like to give you the walkthrough properly. So we've gone through what type of documents we have and how to expand and collapse all our folders. Let's collapse these. Now I just want to show you, but so you've got your ribbon on top. We will go through some of them, like we've already looked at a little bit of engagement. We'll look at some of these as we go through the session, but that is just your ribbon on top. In terms of, we've looked at a few documents, and I just want to show you how to create some extra columns here in your document manager. So if you see there's a yellow bar called filter, just underneath it, that's actually a heading bar. Right click on that, and it'll give an option to show. It'll give you all the possible headings or columns that you could include here on Document Manager. So let's just say I want to include all issues. Then it's going to give me a little icon for all issues. There's nothing now because it's a new file. If you right click on all issues, you can hide it again. Okay, again, stand on the heading, right click. And if you say reorder columns, it's going to give you another way to change your columns, but a lot at a time. So the block on the left, let me just do that again to show you how to get there. I stood on the heading under the yellow bar in Document Manager, right click, reorder columns. My left box gives me all the columns that are currently available. So it's my outstanding issues and my name. You see, outstanding issues and name. Let's say we want to add a few more. So the right column is the hidden ones which we want to bring in. So you can click on them one by one, and then you can bring it across with the arrow. Or you can, by selecting one and holding Control, you can just go and grab a few for me, and holding Control in select, and then click on the arrow. Or you can select a whole list by standing on one, pressing Shift, and then pressing the one at the end of the list that you want, and then everything is selected. And if you press the arrow, they will all jump across. Okay, so now you would have all the columns that you want on the left. You can change the order left to right by standing on it and just using your up and down arrows to put it where you want it. You'll click OK, and all of your columns will appear. Right, if you don't like that, remember you can right-click, hide the one you don't want, or you can stand on the top bar, press right-click, restore columns, or put it back to factory settings. Okay, so that's just I wanted to show you how you can play around with your document manager. All right, after the break, we're going to go ahead and do the information store. But I think let us take till 37 minutes past. Please be back, and then we'll continue with the session. Go grab a coffee or whatever it is that you need to do. And we're back. Just a quick sound check. Minka, can you hear me?
Hi, Ange, yes, I can.
Perfect. I trust everyone is refueled and just longing to get back into the session. Just a quick one. As you go along, it's not necessary to save, compress your file. You know, as you go through the process, you can just save your file normally as you work on it. Save compressed is just what you will do if you finish working with your file, or you finish working with it for a while, and you want to save space on your computer, or you want to just back it up to perhaps your OneDrive or something. However, having said that, I am going to show you the backup feature, which is what you would more strictly use to actually back up your file. Okay, but no, it's not necessary. Saving compressed is just going to cost a bit of time because it takes time to close and open that way. All right, now what we're going to continue with is now we're actually going to go ahead and do our information store. So I want you to find your information store. You can run a search. So what you can do, standard functionality is just click Control F. Control F will find. And if you know what you're looking for, you can either go and scroll through it, or you can go ahead and type in, I want the information store. I heard them say it's called that. And I'm going to go find it. And it opens up for me. Do you see your information store? Now, in the chat, please, quickest one, Minka, watch them for me. What type of document is the information store? Give you a couple of seconds for those answers to come through. Yes, well done. I don't know who was first. Ninka will check for us as we tally, but we have got, it is in fact a case view document, correct. So we had already opened it earlier, so you can actually, if you've still got it, if yours closed, just double click, or if you had it opened, you can just click it from your taskbar and maximize it. Right. What I'm going to do again is in a moment, I'm just going to show my information store on the left, and I'm going to bring up the information Excel document to the right, just so that we can see everything on a page. I just first want to show you what you can see here. A little bit of information for you is you can see the version number. So this is going to be your template version number. So we can see there the 2025-0101. And we can see that we're an information store. We can see a quick link. If there's a little financial statements button, we can quick link to that. It does look a bit iffy, well, mine does. What happens here is just if you haven't yet opened the financial statements, it doesn't have everything up. It's like it forgot. Because the financial statements have not yet been optimized, so it doesn't know what to bring up. Don't worry about it. Once we've opened the financial statements, then this quick link will show everything. But just so you can see for yourself. What we also have with case view documents is we would have what we call a document map on the left. It just lets you jump throughout the document quickly and easily. This is also present and available in the financial statements. Not everyone realizes that. So you can very quickly use it to jump through financial statements, or there's other navigation tools which are not quite as detailed, which are usually used. Okay, if you don't want your document map, you can just see on the ribbon at home, document map, and you just click it and oops, it goes away. And if you want it back, click it and it's back. Okay, right. Before we go through this, I want to take you to in our documents that we downloaded, so you could go and find it for me as well. I want to open the document called Information Pack, Get Ahead, and so on. Okay, so it's your information pack. Open that for me and either put it on your other screen or put it to the right of the screen. I'll remind you how to do that. Press in the Windows button and right click, and it sits, sorry, there we go. It sits on the right. And I want my information store. Mine went a bit wonky, but this happens with technology, as long as you know how to make it work what you want. I want my information store to be on the left, so I'm going to hold in my Windows key, arrow left, and now I'm happy. So it just looks a bit smaller, but can you identify that I am now still in my information store, my case view, and here on the right is a little bit of very, very complicated data that I've given you to fill in the info store. Okay, so with that being said, let's go on. Case view, info store is a case view document. And like I mentioned, the editing for case view documents works the same. So the same kind of principles will apply in your financial statements and other case view documents. So we're starting off with our client information. General information, we want our registered name. Can you see that where I stand, it's blocks? So it uses cells to build the document. So if you have a white cell, it means it's populated from another source. You can stand on this and you can type over it to your heart's content. You're not going to change that name. You can right click, you can do whatever you want. You're not going to change the name. So to change it, you have to go to source. And you'll remember in our, you don't have to follow me. If I go into Caseware working papers, and remember our properties, our engagement properties were in engagement properties, and in the address tab, there's our name. Okay, that's the name that pulls through to the information store here. So if this says IFRS for SME, it means you never change the name. Okay, if you see a yellow cell that's empty, it means that it's an input cell. So here you're going to type things in, right? But it's going to have, some of them have specific requirements. They've set up a specific formatting. And so you can tell that this wants a specific format in the way that a registration number should look. So it's going to tell me, I reject what you've typed in there as nonsense. Okay, so I want to clear that. If you want to clear a cell, you just stand in it. I hope it also works for these, and press space bar, and then it should empty your cell. How cool is that, hey? So you can type nonsense, stand in the cell, space bar, and it's clear. So let's go and take our registration number from the Excel document. I'm going to just copy paste because it's just quicker. And there we go. So now this registration number is going to pull through to various places in the file. And the reason why we put this is, sorry, the information store captures the static type of information that you're going to use throughout your file, and that usually doesn't change every year. So you can imagine you're going to be pretty annoyed if every year you've got to put your registration number in. So you do it once, when you roll forward your file, or if you do a file new from existing, that's a kind of information that will retain. Okay, let's move on. Now we've got another type of cell here. So we're going to put the legal form of our entity. Just in terms of cell type, this is just a drop-down list. So you will select from the list. The entity type is important because it's going to determine the type of documents that are in your file. It's going to change things like, you see, I've got company. You can see it refers to directors. If I change to, let's say, a trust, it's going to change the legislation to Trust Property Control Act. And also I'm going to get beneficiaries and trustees as my detail. Within the financial statements, I'm going to have trust information. Okay, so select your legal form of entity correctly. You won't necessarily have the whole list. It depends on the license that you've purchased. So if you open up and you only see company, it's because you only have bought company. Okay. So that's fine. So you use a drop down. We're going to, it's an unlisted small entity. If you, yeah, it shouldn't be a listed company here because then you are in the wrong template, right? Our listed entities should be on IFRS unless there's some kind of an exemption there. No, they'll be on IFRS. Okay, then next you're going to drop down list, choose your country of incorporation. Also important because it's going to, obviously, apart from your currency, it's going to drive the legislation that is pulled through in your file. Not every single region's legislation is in the file, but where we have, can I say, a large number of users, we try to have those areas catered to. But so like we've got the Companies Act of South Africa, but we may not have the Companies Act of Nova Scotia. We'll mention it, but you would have to actually put the specific Nova Scotia rules in your documents as you go along. But South Africa is catered to. So let us change this with the drop down. Let's go and say Kenya. So you can, just K to take you to Kenya. And then you will see what happens. It will, that selection should update your currency and your legislative act. You see, so here it knows it's the Kenyan Companies Act and it works with shillings. If that's not your actual presentation currency, you can still change it in the drop down. So you might say, okay, although we're in Kenya, we actually present in US dollars, and then you would change it here. Okay, I'm just going to go back to South Africa. It should be on the top of our list. Okay, so you can see how the drop downs work. It's just thinking through the file for the change. Happiness. Now we get a yellow cell, which has already got something in it. So we call these calculated cells, but they've got an override option, which means I can decide I don't want it to look like that. So this is a bad example because it's obviously driven by the rand, but let's just say this actually wants to make $1. And you're welcome to go ahead with me and change the things, please, while you're watching, so you can get a feel for it. So it says, are you sure you want to override? And I say, I'm 100%. Yes, thank you very much for asking. And what it does is it gives these annoying red dots. Okay. OCD doesn't too much enjoy the red dots, but it's just one of those things. The reason for the red dot is actually a good reason. It lets you and your manager know that these are cells that have been overridden, and you have actually chosen to override a calculation, and they may want to see if that was a mistake, if it should have been overridden. If you try to force something in the financial statements, they can easily see that you try to force it. Okay. So what you would do is it doesn't print with the dot unless you ask it to. There's a specific setting to print with the dot. But what you can do in the cell, if you want to revert, you can stand in the cell, right click, and select overridden. And it will just go back to what it was. Okay, anything on that, same with the Companies Act, it would be a cell which is calculated. Then we can go ahead, nature of business. I'm going to say the company, you can type something in. What is the nature of the business? Our company sells cars. Appropriate to the theme. Hey, did you catch that? Right, our company sells cars. That's going to pull through. And then you can fill in a trading name if you would like to, and what the former name was, if there was a former name. Then you might have cells which, again, if they've got a specific format, they'll reject different. So this with a dash, this is a number format. So if I try to type in 10, it's going to tell me it can't take 10. So I'll say, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. And I put in the number. And then everyone's happy. Okay. More drop downs. So you can decide, do you have a shareholder or shareholders? You're welcome to pick for yourself. I'm going to have shareholders in my business. And you'll click the box if it's a micro entity or if it's a public interest entity. This is more for your audit working papers. Okay, I'm going to leave them unchecked. Then our engagement variables, I'm not going to look at. There's just, this will take you to a PR score calculation, which will tell you what your engagement will help you establish your engagement type. And then that box, you would check the box for, will this have an audit report? Will it have a review report, or whatever type of report will be included in the financial statements? So notice I said, even though we're just doing financial statements, we aren't actually doing the audits in our specific file that we're doing together. We'll still have an audit report in file. So we'll still check that. I can't check both. It's not going to let me have an audit and a review at the same time. So it gives me warning, 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 fix. Just notice, though, that when I do have review, that now suddenly there's a new field open about the independent reviewer. Okay, let's fix that. So that there we are. Everything's quiet. The little triangle went away. And industry, you can pick your industry. I'm going to go with wholesale. Cool. And so we make our way through the documents. In group information here, you can say if there's a parent, ultimate parent. So I'm going to say yes. You can go ahead and add this. You can type it in or you can copy it for me quickly. Parent enterprise is Holdco. And I'm going to tell you that it's incorporated in South Africa. You can pick a country, really Nova Scotia if you want. And, right, ultimate parent we don't have. Tax reference number, I'm not going to worry about right now, but you can put that all in. Tax information you can capture as you wish. I just want to show you, here's another type of cell format. It's a percent cell. It's set up to follow South African legislation, but if it needs to be something different, or if you're doing a few years before it's 27 and you just want to change that, you just need to put in the amount. So let's say 28. And the percent will automatically update. Okay, red dot again means that I have overridden. So I'm going to right click and override to bring my 27% back. Okay, I hope everybody is still with me and still completing the information as we go along. This is not overly critical yet. I mean, for our file, but please, it is critical for real files. But if you fall a little bit behind on the information store, don't worry too much about that. Okay, then we'll go through various addresses, our public officer, you can put all that in. Company secretary, I did see that it's in our document here. So let's go and grab our company secretary and pop that name in. This is going to pull through to the financial statements, and if ever needed somewhere else in the working papers, it would pull through there. Okay, now I just want to get to the dates. I'm going to use the document map just for fun. What the dates is going to talk to us about is it's going to give us our year-end date, which again comes from Engagement Properties. Then our date of incorporation. This can pull through to places like the director's report, and you may want to include this. So for our incorporation date, I'm going to try and copy that. And I'm getting rejected because the format is wrong. So go ahead and either use the calendar, or you can just go ahead and, I think it was month first that it asked for. So 09, so September, /05 was the date, and 2018. So you'll go and you'll include your date of incorporation. Your date of certificate to commence business, if you leave it blank, it will be assumed as the same. So we're going to just leave it blank. Cool. Don't worry about schedule lockdown now. The date of signature of audit report. So this date, I'm going to show you what this date influences in a bit. But sorry, I just want to make sure that I've not left anything out. Okay, that should be fine. Your audit date influences a few things, of which, if you're in your financial statements, in the director's report, you're going to show all the directors that were directors during the year, the financial period. But in your general information page, it's going to list the directors that were directors up till the date of the report. So you will see at the bottom, we've actually got a place of resignation. So if a director resigns before the audit signature date, that name won't appear on the general information page. So you just want to, this is the date you're going to come back to make sure you get the actual correct date. If you're in IFRS, it's also the date that the financial statements look at. You know that beautiful note about your new standards and interpretations that have been issued but not yet effective by the date of the report. This date here drives which of those it brings through. So if you've got the wrong date and the statement was issued, you might miss having it included. Okay, but again, you will come back at the end of the engagement and make sure to select the right date. But for the purposes of preparing your file so that the right things pull through, we recommend that you set the date to about 3 months after year end, and that should be okay. So I've got it now set to 31 May 2026. Okay, what did I want to look at next? Yes. So at this point, just go down a few. We're going to look at, this is a very, very important, can be a little tricky, but actually easy if you follow nicely. It says the current accounting period is or is not a full 12 months. So in order to illustrate what's going on here, I would like us to open our financial statements. So the best, if it's the first time you're opening it, is to go to your case where file, go to financial statements 0110 in the financial statements folder, and just quickly open that for me. And that is probably going to take a little while to load. It shouldn't take too long because the trial balance has not yet been imported. Mine is opening on the other screen. I just can't move it across. And of course, the financial statements, you can see from the icon, are also a case view document. I just want to see if there's anything I need to check here. So I just want to say there's a question about the number of employees not being editable. It is, but it just has to be in a numeric format. And that was on the information store. I just want to quickly go to that one. I was just looking at a few questions. Oh gosh, where's my, come on now. There you are. My information's, there it is. It was, I think, at general. And there it was. So there you'll edit your number of employees. Okay. Right. I'm not looking at more of those now. I just want to get back to what I was trying to show you. So my financial statement's opened at the back. So you can see that it's a financial statement because it tells you that it is. Don't worry about this now. Just minimize it for us, please. I just want to go through I want to show you something. So minimize it. Don't close it. You could have closed it. It would also still work. So I want to show you, I'm going back to dates. Okay, so let's just get to the same page now. In the information store, if you want to open to that, I'm on dates, and I'm trying to illustrate this is not a full 12 months concept. But I want to show you what it looks like in the financial statements. So now, just another way to the financial statements is if you go under the blue bar, financial statements, and because I've now, for the first time in this file, opened my financial statements, it's able to nicely read everything. So now I want to go down to the statement of comprehensive income. Okay, and that's going to, so it should bring it up quickly because my financial statements are open. If it doesn't pop it up, just go to the financial statements and it should be already open on the statement of comprehensive income. Okay. Now, while you're in your financial statements, so I'm going to press my window and my right arrow because I want half screen. Okay. So now I've got my financial statements on the right and my information store on the left. Okay. You don't have to do it this way. You can do it on two separate tabs and you can just jump between the two. I want to show you this. Currently, my period is a full 12 months. So now my headings in my financial statements, can you see it's 2026 and 2025? So that's happy. It's a full year. That's the best, easiest, smoothest way. But what if it's not a full 12 months? So let us, scenarios, let's say that, let's click is not, and then it opens up a few more extra fields here. Let's say our company has got, we know it's got a February 2026 year end. So last year, we kind of thought the year end was February 2025, right? But what if it was actually previously December 2024? So, and then we changed the year end. So, or something like that for whatever reason. Or you might say it was a new business and it only started this year and then you only want to put in 8 months, whatever it might be. So let's run with this. And first of all, it says to us it's going to use the word period instead of year so that you don't so obviously the terminology is correct. You might say the reason it's not 12 months is because it's 52 weeks. Then you could write in here 52 weeks. And then everywhere in the financial statements, it will say for the 52 weeks ended. Okay, but we're using period ended. So now we're going to go tell it, well, what was the year end? So we'll say, well, our year end was actually, and I'm going to just, you can just jump through the calendar, 2024, December 31st. Okay, but we, and so that would be 10 months ended. Okay, I might have my months wrong. That's not the point. Just follow the concept. Okay, and then we can tell it, no, you know that it's the 28th of February, and that's this is now actually a 14 months ended. So I'm going to stand here on 12 months and say it was actually 14 months from December last year until we were at now. So you're going to type your months in here. So it says here, column headings, if not 12 months. Happy. Now you go and just click in your financial statements for it to refresh. And there it tells you whether or not I got the 10 or 14 months. That's not the point. But now you've got 10 months ended, 31. Okay, that's supposed to be 2020. For something that just needs to refresh. Okay. And then 14 months ended 2026. That year is still going to refresh. And now it doesn't want to. It'll catch up with us. What do I want to say to you? Oh, yes. So a little bit lower down, it tells you, do you want to apply these column headings to the statements only or also to the notes? So if we say statements and notes, then if we jump to, I'm just going to go to the notes, then it pulls it through there as well. Okay. Don't worry about the jumps. We'll learn that when we go to that section. So I don't want to have this funny year end. So I'm going to go to is 12 months and refresh that. And it's going to give me 2025 or 2026 again. What we can also do is, you know, sometimes you want to add something to a column heading like restated or unaudited or reviewed or whatever it can be. Then you'll use these column headings here and you will, oh my gosh, you'll be ready at 11 o'clock. I need to hurry. You can click that it was restated. And in the current year, you might say it was reviewed. So if you want to review, it's not an option. So we're going to say other, and then we'll type in what we want that to be. And then it's going to change our headings on the outside. Right. That's that. So you can minimize the financial statements at this point and bring back the Excel documents. Then we're going to go on to our directors. Here, in some of these, you see that calculated fields. The number of directors will drive from the table, and the rest you can click by drop down and typing in. So what I want you to quickly do is we're going to then just add our directors quickly because I want to show you that audit date thing. So you can copy with me. Nationality is South African. Don't worry, you can type it in or you can leave it in the interest of time. Our date of appointment, September. So I'm just going to type it. It's the quickest way, 09/01/2018. And they haven't resigned yet. Then we've got our next director, Aaron Sammy. And this director was 02/15/2019. Also didn't resign. Our Edwards resigned 02/15/2022 and resigned 16th of April 2026. And our last director, you can also do, if you're not with me, you can add these in. It doesn't want to paste. I'll just type. You can just catch up after we're done with these directors for next time. Okay, and this was July the 1st, 2023. And we've got a resignation here of 11/30/2025. The date structure is always difficult. Okay, now I can show you what I wanted to show you. I'm going to just expand my information store. So if you see here on the side, you see it says for the first two, this director will show on the general information page and the director's report. But these ones, it says the director will only show on the director's report. Why? Because it looks at the date of audit report. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a trick now. So you'd have to scroll up to find the audit report date. I'm going to get rid of restated and clean it up. So you can scroll up and find your date of signature of audit report, but now you're battling to see your directors. So here's a cool trick. Go on your ribbon to view and split horizontally. So you're going to click on split horizontally and just drop where the little cursor is. And it actually splits the top and bottom of your screen. So you see if it's standing on top, it moves, I can move. And the bottom, so I'm on the same page, but I have a different view. I'll show you again, unsplit. So you're going to take view on the ribbon, split horizontally, put your cursor where you want it. And then now I want to find that audit report date. There it is. Okay. And I want to now look at my directors. So I'm in the bottom window. I'm scrolling for my directors. Both of these directors resigned before the audit date. And so therefore, they're not included on the director's report. But if my audit signature date was actually let's say March, because let's put it on the 2nd of April even. Yeah, that should work. You see what happened? Immediately, now this director appears on the general information page as well. The reason for that is we want all the directors who actually are present at the date of signature to show up on the general information page of the financial statements. Okay, how to get rid of the split screen? Go unsplit horizontally. Unsplit horizontally. Thank you. So then that's quite a cool trick. All right, we're nearly finished with the information store. I'm going to put that to the left again. I've got my Excel on the right. We're just going to look at our firm information. In this place, and you don't have to go with me to the financial statements. I'll just show you. I want to go and see the auditor sign off. So if I go financial statements in my link, and I go to the independent auditors report, sometimes it doesn't jump up because it is in the background. So then you can just go straight to it, but it will be on the independent auditors report. I just want to show you what the sign off looks like if I scroll down. So it's literally the same words that are in the information store. So there you see member firm, registered auditors, member firm, registered auditors. Get the point. So if you don't change this, it's going to be the same here. Now you might say to me, oh, I can just click it in the financial statements and type in there. That's true, but you're going to have to do it everywhere you got the sign off. If you do it in the info store, you're going to do it once off and it's going to change. Okay, I just want to illustrate, we don't have a member firm. So I want to show you, obviously, I'm going to stand in member firm, space bar to clear it out. And if I just refresh the financial statements, that goes away. So all of this is going to pull through to there. Let's see. So if I bring in my information, you can just quickly say ABC Accountants is my firm. And D. Lamini is our partner. And giving me troubles here now. There we go, partner's name. And you can give his designation. You can put the place of signature. You're going to type that in wherever you want the sign-off to be. And it's a firm. Okay. And so you'll go along with it. Same with the preparer of the financial statements. All we've got is that it's P. Johnson and the designation CASA or whatever. I'm just going to take that out of his name. And now, of course, if I don't delete these things, the name of practice and member firm, if they're not relevant, they're going to appear on the face. I don't want that. And his sign-off is also Johannesburg. And I'm just going to now show you. So if that information is completed, you can also do that in your own time. If I go to the financial statements, do you see ABC and my D. Lamini on my audit sign-off? If I go to the cover page, don't worry, we'll cover that next time. There's my P. Johnson who prepared the financials. So your information store essentially pulls through to various places. Okay, let us close the financial statements. You can press yes. And go ahead, and I just want to make sure I've done everything I was supposed to. Yes, close information store. And you can minimize or close this, it doesn't matter. Right, now what we're going to do is I want to show you that we've got 45 minutes. Hopefully we can get the trial balance imported in that time. I don't think we will manage to do the troubleshooting trial balance. I will probably show you that in the beginning of next session. Okay, so go with me to your document manager. And we're going to open what we call the working trial balance. So it's here on the toolbar. You're going to click trial balance and we have nothing. Okay, this is because we've not yet imported our trial balance at all. So what we need to do is we're going to obviously import. So where do you go to import? You can leave this open or you can go to the document manager if it's just cleaner for you to look. We import on the engagement tab. Okay, so you might be anywhere. So you go to the ribbon, you click engagement, and you're going to click on import. And now don't click now. These are the options, okay? We are only interested in the Excel file import, and then we also look at the accounting software import, like from Xero or another software, and those are covered in the training videos in the learning. Okay, we're not going to import the Excel yet. I just first want to show you that if you're going to import a file, you need to do some tests on it. Okay, so go to your folder and open for me your trial balance. This is now giving me an interesting time here. Trial balance, there we go, second time lucky. So there are 3 columns at the bottom. I want you to look at column 1 is the one we're going to be dealing with today, please. So this is the trial balance that I've received from the client. It could look various different ways. There could be other columns in here that are irrelevant. It doesn't matter, you'll just ignore them. You might have your current year might be a debit and a credit. So I'll show you if I go to the second tab. In this instance, which we're not going to work with today, I've got my debits in one column and my credits in another. So yours might look different, but I just want to show you the concept. The fields that you have to have is account number is the most critical field, okay? If you don't have an account number, Caseware will not allow you to import the trial balance. A few important things about your account is that you have to make sure that there are no duplicate numbers. If there are duplicate numbers, then Caseware will only grab the first of that same account number that it sees, and it will reject the other one. And then you're going to land up with an unbalanced trial balance. Okay, so we'll look at that in a moment. I just want to show you, if I go to the bottom of my trial balance, you can see that it balances. That's obviously the first thing you're going to do is make sure you balance right. Happy. Now let's look for duplicate numbers. A very important, or a quick way to do it in Excel is if you highlight the column and you just go do a conditional formatting. You can do this with me and highlight cell rules, and you can just go for duplicate values. And do you see straight up, oh dear, we've actually got a duplication. How this happened, we don't know. So you'll possibly send it back to the client, tell him, give me the right numbers, whatever he will do. Or you can find out what it is, fix it, and then his will be aligned. But let's then go and say, change the first one with me to 001. Okay, the name doesn't matter too much, but if you want to, you can add a 1 to the name. Right. It's possible that they were using the same account name and then they created a new account, and somehow on the Excel creation process, they managed to duplicate the number, whatever. It was just a hypothetical to show you what happens if you have duplicate numbers. This could be the case if you try to do a consolidation by just literally mashing your trial balances together and importing like that. You could land up with duplicate account numbers. So that's not the right way. Rather consolidate the way Minka will show you at the end of the course on the 4th week. Okay, so our account balances, we've made sure our account numbers are unique. We've got our account description, also an important field. And then we have our period values. Current year, we always have to have, obviously, your current year field. Then, if it's your first time file, which ours is, you have to have a comparative, obviously, if it's the first time the entity's in business. And then the second comparative, less critical, but you need it for your opening balances and your cash flow. Not so much anymore on your cash flow, but you're going to need this for your opening balances. When it's your second year of your file, these fields will roll, the previous year's trial balance will roll over into the year before, into the comparative column. So you won't have to re-import your trial balance then. Okay. But for the first time, you need to import them. You need all the periods. Okay, give me a second just to see if there's anything else I must talk to here. Now, I just want to talk about regional settings. Try to stay with me on this one. You can follow along. Can you see my numbers in this Excel file? Yours might look different. But do you see that my thousands are separated by a space? And my decimals, in other words, my rand and cents, are separated by a comma. Okay, you happy with that? But it could have looked different. Your file or somebody else's file might look like the 30, it might have a comma separating the thousands, and it might have a full stop or a point separating the cents. Okay, so another file might look like that. So what we need to do is just, you don't have to do this, but it's just good for you to know for going forward. What your regional settings of your machine look at. Do they also see it the same as the specific Excel you're about to import? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go and look at mine. You can follow on yours, or you can just follow on yours or watch me some settings. And then I'm going to go to language and region, and I'm looking for my regional format, and hopefully I'm going the right way. Yes, I'm going to look at number and currency. I find that both important. So if I go look, please don't change anything if you're following, just look at yours. So I can see here on my number, my decimal is a comma. And if I look at my spreadsheet, I'm like, oh, okay, this is perfect. So far, so good. My decimals are also a comma on the spreadsheet. My digit grouping, that's my thousand separator, arts space. Brilliant. Mine is also a space. I'm happy. I'm going to scroll down in my settings to currency. And I'm going to see my decimal is also a comma. My digit grouping is a space. So all that I've established in this is to tell you that my computer's regional settings are the same as what the Excel spreadsheet that I got from my client is actually reading. So I know I'm not going to have confusion. So that's the only thing we need to know for now. I'm going to explain to you why in a moment. Okay. So at that point, you would have just assumed, if you couldn't work it out, don't panic. It's not that critical. I'll give you a workaround. I'm going to skip the poll I had there because I think we're going to run out of time, and I'd rather you import the TB. Okay, so now what we're going to do is press save, just in case it didn't save. So save your trial balance. Very importantly, I didn't mention this. When you try to import your Excel trial balance, do not run it out of a network folder or a shared folder or something of the like, because you might get network errors. So save it to your PC and then import it from there. Okay, I did tell you. Now we're going to go into working papers. And we can go ahead and now we're going to do the actual import. So we've made sure our file doesn't have duplicate numbers. We've made sure it balances. And if you needed to, you checked if the regional settings are the same as the Excel sheet. So you're going to go on the ribbon to engagement. So please do this part with me now. Engagement, import, and then go to Excel file. Okay, I'll do it again. Engagement, import, Excel file, and I'll wait for you here. So the import wizard opens. So we're going to go through step by step how we've imported our file. We are importing a chart of accounts. We're not importing the general ledger or adjusting journals. So you're going to click chart of accounts and ledger balances. And now you're going to tell Caseware where the Excel file is to that it must bring in. So go and browse and go and find the folder where you have saved the downloads to. So mine is in, and like I said, off of you on your machine to prevent server errors. And am I on the correct one here? Yes. Trial balance. And I'm going to click trial balance. And then it says select a worksheet. So if I just go back to the Excel, I'm actually going to close this information pack. Don't save it. So in my trial balance, how did I not say the right one? No, this is the correct one. Can you see I've got a bunch of sheets here? So I'm looking at sheet 1. So back in Caseware, select a worksheet that's sheet 1. Okay, then don't worry about the rest. Then our period sequence. Remember in engagement properties, we said monthly or yearly. Here we're going to click monthly, even though my trial balance is the full year in one. So in other words, it's not 12 columns, one for each month. I can still use monthly, okay? You can choose monthly or yearly, but best practice is to do monthly. What it's going to do is it's going to give you the ability to map to or to assign to any of the 12 months. I'll show you what I mean when we get there. So if you're at this point, click next. And if you've fallen behind, then just watch and then catch up the video and then just finish up the file for next week, where we just need to get this trial balance in. So now this screen tells us what rows we must exclude, because you must only bring in the account number rows. So we're going to, you see that get ahead is not an account. We'll click all the ones that are not account number. You could also have used the arrows on top and save those files. Then go to the bottom of your sheet and see if there's anything else that doesn't have an account number. Oh, yes, the bottom row doesn't. You could have also used the exclude last arrow. Right, let me just talk to these fields quickly. In here, you can just scroll and just make sure you've got the right Excel sheet. So yes, account number, account description. Oh, yes, there's my 3 years. This looks like the right file. Now you're going to click next. So you've done the rows. Now you're going to assign the columns. So in here, the blue just means it's the column you're looking at, okay, that you're assigning. So I want you now to stand on the first column. It's the account name. So you're going to click ignore, and then it's going to, and you'll follow the path account detail, and you will assign account number. Okay. Then with the account description, just watch me first. I'm going to make a mistake on purpose. I'm going to say it's an account detail, and I want account description, but I accidentally click the wrong description. Don't worry about that. You're going to stand on it again and go back to account details, but now everything else is grayed out. Just click the wrong answer again. It resets it to ignore, and then you can go and put in account description. Okay, I'm going to give you a few seconds to catch up to me if you aren't there. Right, now our number fields. Now you want to make sure from your Excel file, which year was this? So you can even go back and just quickly check. It's definitely my current year because it's 2654. Another system might give you 456. So you've just got to make sure you've got the right period. So my first column, I'm going to say is balance. So I'm going to say click there. Now I'm going to go balances, and it is current year. Now you see an opening balance and all the periods. If you had selected yearly, you would see opening balance, and then you would have a period one. Okay, that would just be the year. So what we do is if we're only importing a full year, if your trial balance gave you all 12 months, you would have mapped each month to here. But usually it would just give you the final trial balance for the year. Then you just go and map it to period 12. Okay, that's easy. Now here's a quick check for you. The total is 0, which means it balances, and that's our debit and credit field. So we're happy with that. Now we're going to bring in our prior year the same way. We're going to say, click on it, balance, prior year 1, and we're going to drop it to period 12. And the same for the third one, balance, prior year 2, period 12. And each time we make sure that it balances to 0. Okay. Now what we have to do is, if you're up to here, we're going to ignore the rest of the fields that actually aren't part of what we want. We click next. Okay, very important, it's not going to do anything to right now, but always click clear balances of period being imported. The reason for this is it's very likely that along the line, you're either going to make a mistake or the client's going to give you a new trial balance and you're going to have to import again. What this does is that for the period that you are importing, like the period 12 current year or whichever period you need to fix the trial balance, it's going, Caseware is first going to make every number blank or 0, and then it will import over it. If you don't clear this, then what it will do is that if any of the balances in the new trial balance was 0, so let's say there was a clearing account, and when you first imported it, there was a value in the clearing account. And now when you re-import, the clearing account is 0, which is what you'd hope to see. If you don't clear the balances of the period being imported, Caseware will retain the original balance that was there. It will not overwrite it with a 0. So you have to click this box, okay? Then the next one is the regional settings. So now you might be saying, oh, I understand why you're asking about regional settings. This checkbox is just a kind of a quick way. It says, use the currency format in regional settings. So you'll click this arrow if you go back to the Excel, if the way the trial balance came from the client looks the same as your regional settings of your computer. If it is, then you will click the little tick box. But what if it's not? So if you click the tick box, but it's not the same, let me tell you what's going to happen. So I want you to use your imaginative minds now and pretend that this trial balance is in the format of the cell on G. So in other words, actually, it's comma separating thousands and dot separating rand and cents. Can you see that in your mind? So I'm saying, let's pretend that's how my trial balance actually comes in. So do you remember that my regional settings says a space is 1,000 separator and a comma is a rand cent? So if I say to Caseware, use regional settings in that case, what's going to happen is that when Caseware brings these numbers in, remember they're on this format, what does it see? It sees 30, so it starts writing 30. It sees a comma, so it says to itself, oh, that's a decimal, 51, and that's what it brings in. It's going to say it's 30 Rand and 51 cents. Okay. If that was confusing for you, there is a video for it in the e-learning. It's not such a big deal. It's quite unlikely that it will differ than your regional settings, but it is possible that it will. If you're unsure and you're scared of making a mess, then this is what you're going to do. You're going to look at your spreadsheet and you're going to say, what is it? So we can see thousands or space and decimals or comma. So now you're going to go to Caseware, you're going to unclick regional settings and you're going to say decimal, and you can use the drop down or you can just type in comma, and digit group means 1,000, space with your space bar. Okay, so what did I do? I said decimal, comma, 1,000 space. Use whatever your Excel spreadsheet is showing as. Right, then you're going to click next. And next again. And import. Okay. And you're just going to follow the prompts and keep on clicking OK. I'm going to give you another 2 minutes to get the trial balances in. And for those who are still following along with me and want to, even if it didn't balance and a mistake was made, just follow along with what you land up with, okay? And then you can redo the process and fix your file or recreate your file for next week. I said I'll give you 2 minutes. Minka, is there anything I need to answer pertinently up at this point? I don't have that screen open.
Hi, Ange. No, I think the team has been answering most of it.
Okay, perfect.
Anything specifically now.
Thank you so much. Right, 1 more minute for those who are still following or actively participating. I know it can be overwhelming. If you did fall behind, don't worry. It's actually quite easy as you go through the steps. It'll take you quick to redo the whole process for next week if you need to restart or recreate a new file. Okay, have I given you, I've cheated, I've only given 1 minute. But I think it's fine if we stop there. First thing I want to just show you, wherever you are, if you're not with me, just follow on the demonstration. Now we go and we click our trial balance. Now all the data is included. Okay. So this is now our working trial balance imported. And there's a few things we have to check. You can't just go, cool, it's in and walk away. Right. First thing you have to do is I just want to show you this is not mapped. You see map number, it's got nothing in. What map number means is we have to assign all of these general ledger accounts to somewhere in the financial statement grouping. So is it an asset? Is it a liability? Is it an income, an expense, an equity item? So everything gets assigned, and that will happen next time. When we first bring a trial balance in without mapping, Caseware presumes that it's all income statement. Okay, so that's important, just a side note. Look here on the bottom of the status bar. If I hover over the zeros, it says net income or loss. So at any point in time, that should show you on a fully mapped trial balance, your net income or your loss. It's currently set to 0 because all of your accounts are presumed to be income statement. So if it balances, obviously these should be 0. So if you first bring in a trial balance without mapping, and that's not a 0, then it means that your trial balance doesn't balance. But that's not the only check. Don't worry. That's just one way of looking. See at the bottom of my trial balance, my bottom line doesn't have any accounts assigned. That's my balance line. This should be 0. If yours is 0, you have imported correctly. Okay, so that's first to check that our import worked. Now let's look at this trial balance a little bit. We never mapped anything to opening balance, so these are 0. When you roll forward sorry, I'm lying to you. That's all going to land up in your prior. If you map your accounts to opening balance, if you bring your trial balance in literally monthly, then you'll have an opening balance and each month's movements. But if you do it the way we did, then everything lands up in this transactions column. And then as we do journal adjustments, those adjustments will land up in the adjustments column, and then you'll get the final column over here, final 22 to 2026. And then there are your comparatives, okay? And they all balance, we're happy. I want to show you something about the transactions. Stand anywhere in your transaction column with me and double click. What happened is if we go and we look at our tabs, we've got Document Manager, we've got our working trial balance, and then a current year period balances tab opened. And this shows us every month of the period because we had a monthly option. If we had yearly, it would just be 1. If we had quarterly, it would show us quarters. So we've got, there we go, March, April, May, and so it goes on. And you can see this will be what we map to. Do you agree? So right on the end, period 12 is where we put our trial balance, and it sits in period 12. Now let me show you something. I'm going to close those current year balances. Do you see your transactions or mine if you're not following? Now we're going to go and we're going to accidentally change the period. And we're going to click here because we're just like trying to see what does this do, blah, 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 and you click there. And you didn't notice that you actually caused potential disaster. So for those of you who didn't see, I changed the date on my toolbar to March from February. Remember back to our engagement properties discussion at the beginning, where Caseware said, what is the current period? And the period that you chose shows here on the bottom. And I told you that that's what Caseware looks at. So I have now told Caseware, look at period 1. And I want everything to be period 1. So my financial statements and everything's going to look to March, which is period 1 for this year. What did we allocate anything to March? No, of any of the years. So now it looks like, oh, I haven't imported anything. Where did my trial balance go? And panic stations. Before you call support, check your number of your period. Okay, let's click in the transactions and scroll to the side. I didn't lie to you. Period 12 is still there. Your data still exists, but Caseware is looking at period 1 for every year, so it can't see it. So go and change it back to 12 to February. If you can't see, so there's various ways. That's not the only way to change it back. You can either click the drop down. If you don't see the drop down, you go to engagement properties, reporting dates, and you assign the 12 there. Okay. So now we'll close the current year balances, and there again, phew, our trial balance has reappeared. Right. So if you're in your financial statements and all your numbers have disappeared, this is one of the first things you're going to check to see if you have done. Let me ask you now a few others. I've already said to you, please don't change your year-end date after importing your trial balance. Okay, we can change if you want to search if you stand on any of the headings, you can actually sort the column, the row, by that heading. So my account number, if I click it, it sorts from lowest to highest. If I click it again, it's going to do a sort in the opposite direction. I can do the same with my name. I can do alphabetical sort. So just click it again if you want to sort it in the other direction. That's pretty cool, hey? And of course, the same with your balances. I want to do a sort by transaction. I want to see what my highest value accounts are. It's giving me lowest. Then I'm actually at the bottom here. Let's get to the top. You can easily see whichever way you want to run the sort. So that's really something nice. You will see there's lots of columns. Along the top, there might be more than you feel you want. You can see there's a whole lot of columns all the way. So what you're going to do, because it's a case where it's within part of working papers, it works similarly to the document manager. So you'll stand on the heading, right click. Sorry, there. You'll stand on the heading, right click, and you can either, if you don't want the map number, you can say hide map number. Okay, so now you're like, ooh, where did my map number go? How can I get it back? Stand on any column, and okay, you won't see map number directly here, but you go to show. And then it'll give you all the possible columns, and you'll be like, sure, okay, I can get it back. And you go and set map number, and all of a sudden, there it is. Okay. You can also change your columns by standing on a heading and right-click. And if you select reorder columns, remember, it's the same in the document manager, reorder columns, it's going to give you all the possible columns, and you can bring them across. You can say, I want sign, I want lead sheet, I want this code, I want class. You can just go map everything you want and left-click arrow to bring it all in this side. And then you can change the order. You can say, I want my mapping number to be in front of type, so you can click it up and down and press OK, and everything looks different. And then if you say to yourself, yo, I've made a real mess now, I can't make sense of it anymore, stand on the heading, right-click, restore columns. Okay, happy. Then a couple of more things I'd like to show you here. We've got a fold or a freeze. You can see that here at this column lock. Do you see that my trial balance moves and freezes on there? Let's say I wanted to freeze somewhere else. Let's say there. All I do is I'm going to go to the View tab in the ribbon, and I'm going to, where I'm standing, if I press Set Fold Line, it's going to put the little dots there, and that's where the fold is now moved to. Okay, so if you accidentally do something like that, and you're standing there and you say, oh, what does this do? And you set Fold Line, and now your trial balance is only giving you that little movement on the side, don't panic. Just go and either stand somewhere else and set the line there, or you can take the fold off altogether by, you see the little padlock, unclick the fold, and now everything moves. Okay, so but I'm happy with it here, so I'm going to set my fold line. And then, of course, set my fold line, and then lock it in place. Okay, so you can play around with all these little features to get the look and feel that works for you. And now I want to show you about accounts. Do me a favor, go and look for an account. I want us to add an account. You don't have to do it in here. I just want to show you how to do it. We are going to, let's say we've got a loan we want to make a short-term portion for. So send in your trial balance and just do a search. You don't have to do it this way, but I want to show you the functionality. So Control F to bring up your search and type in there loan. It's probably got something to do with loan, if you know what number you're looking for. And I see, oh, perfect. Here's this, it's not necessarily the right one, but it's not really important. That's actually not the one I want. I say it's not important, but now I'm being pedantic. I want the correct loan account. So next, that's not the one I want. That's the one I want, holding company loan. And I say, okay, I want to actually add an account here. I see it sort. Bear with me. I'm going to change my sort so it's not at the end. So all I did now is I just sorted by account number. Okay, I clicked on account number to sort by account number. I'm going to add an account after this one for short-term portion. You can put it anywhere, it's just a test, okay? So you're going to go and you can go to the Home tab and you can say Insert Line. And then you can give it an account number. So I'm going to say, I'm going to call it account 5800R000. Okay, and you give it a name. So I'm going to call it short-term portion of loan. Cool. And I click OK. And oh, this is awesome there. Okay, added at the bottom because the numbering was out with the R that I added. The point is, there's my loan account. Okay, I can, if I'm unhappy with it, I can stand on it and I can delete the line and then it goes away. Okay, so now you're panicking and you're thinking, oh, what if it's so easy to delete? What if I delete an account by accident? Try for me, see if you can delete an account. Okay, so you can't delete accounts that have got balances in them. What you also can't do is go stand on a transaction amount and try to change the amount in there. You can't type over the trial balance. Okay, so that's just a safety mechanism. Cool, now it's the fun part. Now you're going to make your file look pretty. We've got just 15 minutes left, so I need to hurry up. You're going to go to Tools, Options. Okay, I'll do that again. Tools on the ribbon, Options. And in the middle of the page, you're going to find Color Scheme. And you can go and pick yourself. You could just play around with them, see what you like the most. Just pick one for now. And I like the colorful one. And okay. And this is what's going to look like in all your files. Okay, so this pulls through. And now you've got a lovely looking trial balance here. Perfect. I want to see if there's anything that I have missed out. Okay, so at this point, we can close our trial balance. I can just close the tab here. I just want to show you, so that was the working trial balance. If you now go to the trial balance folder, there is the trial balance, which is the case where automatic documents. It's a different view. But if you open it now, you will see that it's the same document, it's just presented differently. Okay, so this one up top is your working trial balance. This is the case where document. Once we've allocated mapping, we will have lead sheet numbers. But once you're in here, if you click on Home, the Home tab, now you can actually add your tick marks and whatever within your trial balance. Okay, cool. And there's the number of the document. Let's close the final trial balance. Now I want you to make it an Excel report for me. So what you're going to do is stand on your trial balance, right click, and click Save as Excel file. And then you can say, okay, it will save it. I've clicked Add it to the document manager. So I just want to show you that if you want to export as an Excel file to send to the client for review or something, you can do so. Now, of course, it wants to take a moment. There it goes. Cool. And then you can right-click properties and you can rename it Excel. Oh, that was a silly name. Let's call it trial balance for review or whatever you want to do. And then you can save it and you've got an Excel version of that. Okay. So I think we're going to come for a bit of a close now. I can imagine you're all feeling exhausted. What I want you to do at this point is we're going to save this file compressed. And it's just so that, remember you saw how big the file was in your Explorer. So what we're going to now do is we're going to, if you decide, I'm not going to be using this file right now, I want to save space, I want to send it to someone to review, you click then File to go to the Backstage and click Save Compressed. And you can click those and say yes. and then give it a moment to compress the file. So while it's compressing, for next week, what I'd like you to do, if you feel that you hadn't got this accurate, you can delete this file or create a new file and just give it a different name so that you know what the different file is. All I want you to do for next week, please, is to make sure your file was created, preferably in SME if you have SME, definitely by then in the updated software, and import your trial balance, please, to the point that I had done it to make you ready for next week. Okay, so my file is now compressed. Let's go look at it in the data folder. So I'm going to go to my C drive, to program files, to caseware, data. And if I go and open my Get Ahead now, that's what it's compressed to. Okay, so this takes a moment, you can see. So you don't want to do this every single time. But definitely when you need to save space and when you're actually archiving your files, you'll do that. Okay, that's all that I managed to get to today. Next week, we're going to just finish off what I still wanted to do. I'm going to let you re-import a trial balance next week, and I'm going to do the troubleshooting of trial balances, and then we'll go on with the program from there. So just give me a second. I just want to call this back up for us. Our next session will be Thursday again, so it's easy to remember, Thursday, 9 to 12 again, so next week. And then the following week, I think it's the 12th after that, we will see you again. Thank you very much for joining us and for participating. I hope that you enjoyed the session. Okay, bye-bye.